So let me tell you a little bit more about myself then. Daniel mentioned that I am a director of a wellness retreat. What we actually are is a training and wellbeing centre. So we do boutique-style wellness retreats. So it's more of a one-on-one. So if you're like me this week and you want to come and spend a whole week with me, that's the way to do it. And also we do 5-night actual short courses. So you can come and learn a myriad of different things, everything from hydrotherapy to massage, just basic massage home courses. You can learn natural remedies and so forth. So there's something for everybody. Now, with our retreats, we're all about empowering people through education and helping you to find that passion to take that information and knowledge into your own hands and actually run with it. You know, be responsible for your own health because no one else really is, right? It's up to us. And what we also do is run a myriad of different retreats, everything from just a nice de-stress retreat, which we all need at some point in our life, all the way to doing, fasting masterclass weeks. So there's something for everybody. If you'd like to just follow and see what's happening with us, you can always subscribe to all of our social media platforms as well as our monthly health newsletter. So I send out a little monthly health newsletter with a health nugget in there. It's all on current research on different topics, and you also get some free recipes. So if you like the recipes that you're going to learn today and you want to get a new fresh one every month, please just sign up on this on your way out. We'll leave it up the back there. And it also has a section where you can tick if you want the newsletter, or you can tick if you're interested in the short courses. Because when we run a certain short course, then we'll send that out to those who are interested, okay? I also have a couple of brochures about the retreat and just a couple of little flyers as well. So you might think, oh, this might be helpful for somebody that I know. So you can take some of those at the end. So what we're going to look at today, my friends, is Holistic Health Reset. Now, don't judge me because I'm an educator and you might be thinking that Candice does not know how to spell. I know that it's supposed to be a H, but today's talk is all about having whole foods. So we're going to have a holistic health reset by introducing more whole foods into our lifestyle. So what are whole foods exactly? Well, we know that they're things that are found in their natural state. They've hardly been processed. They're kind of looking as close to how nature first created it, yeah? And it's things that don't have anything added to it either. So no artificial additives, preservatives, and so forth. So if we want to reset our health, we need to actually do it one meal at a time. And that's kind of good because if you're looking too far down the future, it can be a little bit daunting and even feel a bit unrealistic. But every meal that you have is actually either helping you or hindering you. And so just look at the next meal and just work little by little, and you'll find that it'll be quite easy to introduce and change your lifestyle over time. So what we'll be concentrating on today is how we can use whole foods and eating more foods that are closest to nature, in particular to help build up our immune systems and prevent ourselves from getting ill. This is the season. Has anyone here already been sick this year? Yeah, well, we don't want to get it yet because you guys still have a winter that lasts even into spring. So you've still got opportunity to really build up your immune system and just prevent, because prevention's always a lot better than trying to treat. Now, we'll be looking at resetting our body by using certain foods, and also a couple of tips and hacks that I've found that just make it more easier to eat and reach for the healthier options rather than the non-healthier. And it's just a really easy way to implement these kind of changes into your everyday lifestyle. We'll look at some ways that you can satisfy those cravings that we all have. They come around, and but we'll give you some options that you can reach for instead of the alternative. Then we'll have a little whole food cooking demonstration, which is going to be really fun, and you'll be able to watch all of that from the screen. And then we'll have a question and answer section. And as Daniel mentioned, after we have done our question and answer, we will actually, and I'll have a little taste test of all of these goodies as well, but then I'll be doing another bonus lecture, and it's all going to be on gut health. And of course, we know that that is super important for your entire health, mental health, physical health, the whole lot. And so I would invite you to stay around after the taste test, join me for that, and then I'm going to be doing a demonstration on how to do amazing things with kefir. So if you know what kefir is, and you're going to taste some of it with your taste test at lunchtime. And if you like that and you want to know how to do it, you'll have to hang around, okay? So let's get started. We're going to look at what the benefits of eating more whole foods are in response to a preventative reaction in stopping getting those diseases that are around at the moment. And this time of year, I don't know what it is, everyone becomes so friendly and they want to share whatever they have with you, right? But you don't want everything that people are giving and offering. So some of the benefits of plant-based, eating more plant-based and more natural whole foods is that it's actually going to help us to get those micronutrients that we need. So micronutrients are vitamins and minerals, okay? Not the macros like the proteins, carbs and fats. And we only get them from plants, okay? From whole foods in particular. So the more of those we eat, the more vitamins and minerals we actually are taking. And it's important when eating whole foods that we're trying to get them closest to their original form. You can play around with them and mix them up and make them amazing, but try and stay away from the ultra-processed options, okay? So do you know even if you have a whole grain, but then you go and actually mill it, you have slightly processed it. You will lose a little bit of goodness, but of course, if you had the option of having some flour or having a whole grain, which would be better for you nutritionally, the whole form, yeah? It's not a problem to have them if they're slightly refined, but we don't want to have the ones that have also had the fibres taken out and had everything taken out where all you end up is with white stuff, right? It's not always awesome. Not good for the colon either, let me tell you. So whole foods also are obviously fantastic because you're getting those extra vitamins and minerals, but you're also getting the fibres and you're getting those things that are often taken out when you buy things in packets and tins and, you know, in a more processed form. So the best whole foods that we can have are really the ones that I like to call fast food. Things that you can reach for, grab and eat. So fruits, obviously, they're the top of the list, they're the easiest, and plus it's very socially acceptable. No one will ever complain if you're there just reaching and grabbing for a piece of fruit, right? No one will have a problem with that. Vegetables, okay, sometimes it might look weird if you're sitting there eating like an asparagus at work at your lunch desk, but there are other ones, okay, celery sticks, carrot sticks and so forth. There's a lot of things there that you can do. Legumes. Legumes are actually my favourite food on the planet, and these are really the best. In fact, if you eat legumes every day, you will increase your lifespan by 4 years just by eating legumes. And the daily amount that's ideal, if you can, is 1 cup of legumes a day. Now, you might think that sounds like a lot, and you don't have to eat it, you know, just like in its whole form. You can blend it up, you can make gravies, you can make hummus, you can make dips. There's so many ways that you can get it into you. In fact, I once had a client and she couldn't stand the texture of legumes and lentils and chickpeas. You know, sometimes that is a weird feel in some people's palates. So I said, that's okay, I have a lentil bread. Do you like bread? Yeah, I love bread. Okay, we'll have just a protein bread that's made from lentils. And she loved it. It didn't have the weird consistency. So there's many ways to get around it if you're, you know, a bit weird with that. Whole grains, of course, and I prefer the grains to still be whole and intact, but it's okay if you make your own homemade bread and you mill it a bit. Raw seeds and nuts and seaweed. Who here eats seaweed? Oh, I love you guys. That's really, I usually get 1. So I'm really proud of you down here. I don't know what it is. So that's good. We need to eat seaweed. And if you don't like it, there are other ways you can get the iodine into you, but it's super, super important, especially now because thyroid issues are one of the biggest issues. Okay, so I always like to use the rainbow of wellness when eating. So that is eating food that has colour still and having the range of colours. Now, in nature, there's actually more colours than what's technically in the rainbow colours. So if you can every day just make sure that you're having at least one of every colour, then you're actually setting yourself up for really good health and prevention of any kind of nasties that might be, you know, lingering around. So greens and blues and purples and yellows and oranges and reds, have those on your plate every day, and you can have the other colours too, the whites and so forth. But stick with the greens as your top if possible. Now, with the rainbow of wellness, when it comes specifically to immune boosting, okay, so we're not talking about everything else, but for immune boosting, blueberries out of all the berries are your best, okay, if you want to ward off sickness or prevent. Okay, so obviously they're filled with antioxidants. They're going to boost your immune system. We actually have some handouts for you too if you haven't received them already. And then, of course, we have turmeric. We all know how amazing turmeric is. Who here already takes turmeric? Okay, that's good. There's some really fun and easy ways to actually take it into your diet. One of my favourite ways is actually to buy the fresh root if possible, or you can use the powder and juice it with fresh ginger, lemon juice, a little bit of cayenne pepper, and then I put them in ice cube trays and freeze it. And then I just pop one into a cup every day, a bit of warm water, and that's how I love to start the day. It literally is setting you up to protect you. And plus, it's good for so many other things besides just immune boosting. Okay, we know that broccoli is one of the best foods for prevention. So this time of year, eat the broccoli any way it comes. Do you guys know about sulforaphane? Okay, it is the number one anti-cancer property on the planet. And in fact, out of all of the plants on the planet, all of you cruciferous are fantastic. Broccoli is the best, but broccoli sprouts are the number one cancer killer in research and in science for it's 70-something% of all cancers. So if it's a breast cancer, if it's a colon cancer, wherever the cancer is, it's the broccoli sprout that comes out on top at preventing and also treating and eradicating. So that's good to know, right? So set yourself up for long-term health as well. What about sweet potatoes? We're going to be eating some of those today. High source of vitamin A, which is needful to prevent any kind of flus and colds. It's also wonderful for eyesight, as we know, but it's also important to actually treat and help you to get over any kind of sickness or illness. So when you're not well, think about including some of these foods into one dish. You could put turmeric and broccoli and sweet potatoes and even spinach and ginger all in one soup. There you go. You've got all your immunity right there in the one dish. And then have some blueberries for dessert. Spinach, of course, is amazing. It doesn't matter if it is baby spinach or if it is English spinach, frozen spinach. It's all going to help you, okay? It's fantastic. We'll be eating a bit of spinach today, and it's fantastic. Obviously, it's got all of your flavonoids and antioxidants as well. And then ginger, which is one of my favourites as well. Every time you have ginger with another food, it's kind of like cayenne pepper. It actually makes the other food be more absorbed. Okay, so try and have ginger in a lot of your dishes if you like ginger. And you can just need the smallest amount. It doesn't have to be too bitey for you. So also garlic we know has to be there. Whenever I feel anything coming on, I just garlic bomb myself. I just have as much garlic as I can tolerate and those around me who could tolerate me. Because, you know, it's got that pungent smell, but that tells you that it's actually going to be doing something internally. Nothing likes to be around that. In fact, a worm and a parasite, they're getting out of you if you're putting that into you. So that's fantastic. Kefir, which is my all-time favourite cultured food. We're going to be doing that workshop on that this afternoon. And I'll explain more about that, but it is the number one food for immunity. It's the number one food for weight loss. It's the number one food for any kind of dysbiosis or leaky gut, like gut permeability. It literally will kill most things. It's amazing. Sunflower seeds. Out of all the seeds, if you're going to eat them during this winter time, go sunflower seeds over the rest. All seeds are wonderful, but particularly for immunity, go sunflower seeds and almonds. Okay. Now, oranges and kiwis are also super high in vitamin C, which we know is needful. But if you don't want to have too many calories, because sometimes they're a bit higher in the glucose response, you can go for a red or even a green, but red has more. Red capsicum, that's your highest vitamin C in a veggie form. Okay, so go ahead and eat those. Eat them any way you can. So if we want to holistically reset our body, we need to start including these foods. And you don't have to do it all in one meal, which is good to know. You can actually do these over a matter of days. So do try and have colours of the rainbow, but if you can't fit them all in one day, that's okay. Your body can actually recycle nutrients from up to 2 days prior. So as long as you're getting them over like a 3-day period, you'll still keep that immunity up. So how do we start doing it in a practical sense? Well, you know, if you don't have it there in your house, in your kitchen, in your fridge, you're not going to use it, right? And you'll just reach for whatever's already there or whatever's easy. So make sure that you start buying it. And make sure that you try and buy the colours. And we all know that shopping around the outer areas of the supermarket is generally best. So that includes also the freezer section, frozen veggies, fruits, all of that. Sometimes they're even fresher and contain more nutrients than the ones that you buy not in the freezer, because on these farms these days, they have their own freezing plants, and it's literally picked, and within an hour or two, it's frozen, so all those nutrients are remaining. So don't ever feel like you're getting second best if you're having something frozen. Sometimes it's better. Now, what if you're a very time-poor person, you're super, super busy, but you still want to include all of these into your lifestyle? Buying even pre-chopped veggies, or, not so much fruit, but the veggies, they can last for ages if you store them properly, and it's better to have that than not to have any at all, okay? So do just make sure that you have them there so that you can start utilising them. And try and fill your fridge and even your kitchen bench, anywhere where you store your food, make sure that it's filled and fully stocked with all the different fruits and veggies that you possibly can. Because when you see it, you'll actually want to use it. And another thing I like to recommend is to actually have clear containers in your fridge and in your freezer so that you can just visually quickly have a glance and see, oh, I've got that, I should use that. Because if you don't, what happens? A couple of weeks later, what's that fur growing down there, right? It's easy to miss it because if it's in a bag and it's all covered up and hiding at the bottom, you'll never use it. So do try and do that. It's a good excuse to go shopping, isn't it? Buy a couple of extra little kitchen goods. I have gone a little bit rank lately with Temu and bought a lot of these fridge ones that are quite large and high and clear, super, super clear, and so that's whatever works for you. But do make sure that you can see what you've bought. Stock up your freezers as well. So anything that you can find. I mean, sometimes if you find it difficult to even chop onions or it makes you cry, and no one likes to cry, just buy your frozen onions that have already been cut up and just keep them in your freezer. It means that you'll start using it. And, now you can get also your frozen blocks of chopped up garlic and ginger and all these kind of goodies. And you can do it yourself even as well. It's just another way of having that stuff there. I always love to have some edamames on hand in my freezer because it makes a wonderful dip. It's a wonderful filling. It's wonderful and everything. And also to try and set yourself the goal of trying to introduce a new plant-based or a really high nutritionally dense meal into your lifestyle every couple of days. Try something new. Get a new recipe. Be inventive. Maybe even try and recreate some of the recipes that you like and go for now that maybe, aren't the best nutritionally. Try and swap it up. Change it. Be inventive. Be creative. And try and get a few whole grains into your diet. Does anyone here actually eat whole grains? So we're talking like things that still look like birdseed. Anyone doing that? Yeah, that's fantastic. And you know what? I find one of the easiest ways to do it is to actually pre-cook it in portions, put them in snap-lock bags or freezer bags, chuck them in the freezer. And then the next day, if you need something, grab one out the night before, let it defrost, and you're good for the next day. It's just, do a big cook-up once that'll last you like 4 weeks. If you've got the freezer space, of course. But these kind of things really do help. And we know that whole grains are very preventative for a lot of different diseases, but excellent when it comes to some of your minerals that you don't get from many other places, okay? So greens are usually the top for getting minerals and a lot of vitamins, but whole grains come in par as well. And I love, out of all the whole grains, every whole grain is fine, but my top favourite ones nutritionally for the benefits are sorghum, quinoa and millet and buckwheat. So they're my top. And they also do happen to be gluten-free, which is handy for those who suffer with those kind of issues. Think about also substituting or just adding extra veggies or different foods that maybe you're not eating too many of right now into your dishes that you already like to make. So it could be something as simple as adding a little bit of extra garlic or onions to something, or a little bit of ginger to a dish that maybe you never do. Ginger actually goes well in most things, savouries, soups. Even I put a little bit in my pasta. You don't notice it so much, but it's still, you're getting some benefits. So think about just how you can use things. I know not everyone's a fan of zucchini noodles or what we call zoodles, but you can just include zoodles into your normal pasta, okay? Just to add some extra veggies. And, if you have one of those spiralizers, you can't tell too much difference. Yes, it's a little bit more different consistency and a little bit not as firm, but it's just another way to get more veggies in, and it still kind of looks good. It's a good one for the kids. I even trick my niece and nephew to have zoodles with their fettuccine and spaghetti, and they do not like vegetables at all. So, whatever it takes to get it in. And we all know the tricks of putting it in the bolognese sauce and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, do keep doing those kind of things. It's all about just trying to add some extra goodness into your already existing diet, okay? What about looking for snack foods that don't necessarily come from a packet? We're going to show you some today that are really quick and easy to make, and they're ones that you can just have in your freezer and just grab and go kind of stuff. You know, you make it once, it's there for months, and you're fine. I'm a super busy person, as you can imagine, and I like to have everything in advance. So just once a week, I'll make 1 or 2, 3 dishes, and I will just freeze them, or I will, use the first half of the week where I'll eat it fresh, and then whatever, the other half of that recipe I'll actually freeze and then get that out. So there's ways you can meal prep. Anything that you make, if you can freeze it, it is handy, because then it's, you don't have to make it later. I always like to say this one, we all know this adage, fail to prepare, well then prepare to fail. It's so true. If you don't prepare your shopping list, or you don't prepare some time to actually make up a few goodies, you're just not going to do it, because we're all so busy, okay? I can't wait until I retire, but then I think I'll still be busy. But in the meantime, I just spend half a day a week, and I'll just prep a few dishes, and I'll just divvy them up into different portions, and then I'm good. I always have so much in the freezer. I'm like, I've got that already, I've got that. Why don't I make this? Why don't I make some bread? I'll do this and that. And I eat like a queen, and it's all nutritionally balanced and dense, but I'm not cooking every day. In fact, I don't do much cooking except salad prep each day. So there are ways that you can get around it, and there's ways that will really help you to get those wins and you succeed in your goals and your plans, because we all have the best aspirations, yeah? But we do have to have a little bit of prioritising in our day and just, our week. I actually do one cooking demonstration, because as a naturopath, I have a lot of people come to me and say, I really want to eat healthy and I'm trying, but I don't have the time. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So what I actually created was a whole week's menu to feed 4 people that takes you only 2 hours to cook from scratch until you're divvying it up. And that's for a family of 4. So if you can't find 2 hours in your whole week, there's nothing else I can do to help, okay? But there are ways, my friends. And so some of these recipes here, they're one-pot wonders. Who doesn't love that? Chuck it all in, press a button, walk away and have, do your life, do your thing. Okay? Now, you might be very surprised to hear that I'm going to tell you to eat potatoes every day. Yeah. And let me tell you why. Okay, so for starters, every single food on the planet has a satiety index, okay? And most people think that foods that are very satisfying are foods like, cheese, meat, eggs, all these kind of things, right? But do you know that the most satisfying food on the entire planet are potatoes? Even the old white potato. If it wasn't for a potato, there wouldn't be an Irish person left on the planet. So thank goodness for potatoes. But potatoes, there's nothing wrong with potatoes. It all depends on what you put on it and how you cook it, and also how you eat it. So let me justify that. If you boil potatoes and then let them fully cool, the actual molecular structure changes and it becomes a prebiotic. So that's a starch that doesn't get digested by your gut. So you will digest about 1/4 to 1/2 of that potato, but the other half, it's like you never ate it. So that's good to know. The other thing is, but you do have to cook it, cool it, and don't eat it for 24 hours, because it still keeps changing the molecular structure over 24 hours. So I cook potatoes once, usually on a Sunday. I'll cook up like 3 kilos, and then I just let that sit in the fridge. I won't eat it until the next day, 24 hours later, and then I'll eat it all throughout the day, all throughout the week, and I never have to cook it again. They last all week, not a problem. And that helps by obviously cutting down any kind of glucose response. The other thing that will help to cut down a glucose response is having it with lemon, if you like lemon on potatoes, or if you clothe it with a little bit of fat, which I'm going to show you today, the kefir French onion dip on a potato. I can't even explain how amazing that is. It's going to change your life. So these kind of things are how you can actually make potatoes a health food. Okay, they're actually healthy on their own, but that will make it even healthier. So having it like that is the way to go. Now, when it comes to cooking it, air frying, amazing. Dry baking, awesome. Okay, you can even reheat your pre-cooked potato just by steaming it, whatever it takes. But if you use the air fryer, you can put all of your herbs and spices on top of it and cut them into wedges or chippies or whatever you like, put it in your air fryer without any oil, and it's actually satisfying, it's healthful, half of it's not even going to be digested, you're going to make yourself feel full, and you're not going to be reaching for snackies for the next couple of hours until it's dinner time or lunchtime. So I'm a huge fan. One of the ways I like to eat my potatoes, once I've boiled them and I've cooked them, I slice them long ways so that I end up with like the little discs, and I actually just air fry them, and then I use it like toast. Put anything on top of it like a toast, potato toast. Or I'll even put it in my toaster. So there are ways that you could do potatoes that are pretty awesome. Okay, another thing is too, eating greens and veggies. And they've found that if you eat them first, it actually reduces your glucose spike. And the amazing thing is, they've done research, if you eat like an entree kind of salad before you eat anything else, and it can be anything that's green, don't put all your fats on it, okay? Just have a nice like lemon juice, vinaigrette or something like that. What it actually does is it becomes a negative calorie. So what that means is that whatever you eat, it might cost you 100 calories if you weighed it out, but because you're having it first, it actually negates it and it actually takes that away. So not only do you not really register that you're eating that salad, it takes away another amount of however many calories it was. So if you eat 100 calorie salad before you eat anything else, you'll actually be 100 calories deficit, which is really 200 calories deficit. It's pretty amazing. So always start any meal, and even if you can, breakfast as well. Savoury breakfasts are my favourite. Have a nice salad. It's actually setting you up for the best postprandial state, so that glucose response. What about eating fruits? They've actually found that eating fruits, if you're going to eat fruits, you should eat it at the beginning as well. So after you've had your salad, you should have your fruit. Or if you're not having anything else, have your fruit before you have any other heavier foods like legumes and grains and things like that. But when you have your fruit, do eat it in its whole form with the liquid and the fibre still intact. I'm a huge fan of juicing. In fact, we do a juicing masterclass at Oakwood, but I never juice a fruit because it's not good for your blood glucose, okay? Even smoothies in their whole intact form, still not awesome. You're best having to actually masticate and eat fruits in their whole form. It is better for your glucose response. But never juice a fruit, but do eat them. And what they've found is that if you even eat dried fruits, you're going to eat way more calories than what you would if you ate the fresh component. So for instance, if you had 100 grams of fresh strawberries, it's only like 35 calories. That's nothing, right? But if you eat the same amount in dried, because all the moisture's been taken out, it becomes very light, you're going to end up consuming 375 calories. That's like night and day. And it's not good if you're dehydrated and you eat dried food or fruit or veggies or anything, because it actually will take all of your moisture out of your gut. So do be careful. A lot of people, when they go hiking, used to take a lot of dried fruit, but then they become dehydrated because your stomach needs to absorb a lot of moisture from your body to rehydrate it so it can digest it. What about popcorn? I'm a fan of popcorn as long as you don't have any thyroid issues. So popcorn is great instead of normal chippies, okay? And these days, air popcorn, you can do it yourself, you can buy it, it's pretty easy. Calorie-wise, super, super cheap, but also super low, but it's also fantastic because it's just a great alternative instead of those things that will bring your immune system down. So the oils and the fats and all of those other flavours can really drop your immunity quite quickly. And a lot of the chips today actually have sugars in it. If you see anything that says maltodextrin, you know you're having a whole bunch of sugar. Okay, so how can we find a few more tips to eating a little bit healthier? Well, do shop with the list, get a few recipes together, do a little menu up, and then at least know what you need. And never go when you're hungry. You know that, right? Don't go when you're hungry. You're going to get something down those middle aisles, I guarantee you. And then, of course, when you do get to eat these beautiful new dishes that you're creating, make sure that you chew your food slowly. Because if you're seeing things coming out the other end and they're still noticeable and you can tell what that was, that's not good. But it's not only that, even if you can't see anything physically like a pea or a corn, because they're usually the ones that come out full, it's more about you're not even absorbing the nutrients properly and you're not getting the benefits of all the good stuff that you're eating. So chew nice and slow. I always say drink your food, chew enough so that it's going down like liquid, and then even chew your drink. okay, because you have enzymes in your mouth that actually help to digest even liquids. Now, don't forget, when it comes to immunity, we all need to drink our water, yeah? And we all are different shapes and sizes. Some of us work out more, some of us are less active. How much water do we need to drink? And in winter, how much harder is it to drink that water intake? There's a few little tricks to that. First of all, find out how much water you need. So if you don't know, as long as you know what your weight is in kilograms, because I don't know what a stone is or a pebble, but you just want to go ahead and times those kilograms by 33 mils. And that's how much water, that's the minimum amount of water your body needs each day. Now, if you're a gym junkie or you do a lot of physical activity and you're sweating a lot, you better increase that by a couple of cups as well. Summertime, it's pretty easy. Wintertime, hard, especially in this weather. And I wouldn't recommend drinking water that comes at room temperature here. It's very cold, okay? So have it a little bit warm. Warm it up. In fact, if you can drink your water at the same body temperature that your body is, you're going to absorb more of it and you won't be visiting the toilet so much, okay? So warmer is better, not too cold and not too hot. You need to find that Goldilocks perfect temperature. Okay, so we can also look at changing even up our healthier cooking methods. So there's better ways to cook than there used to be, which is great. I'm actually a huge fan, I should have shares because I'm always promoting it, in pressure cookers. Pressure cookers are amazing for your legumes and your grains, okay? And you can get some wonderful ones that don't have the non-stick coating and all this kind of stuff. It's, fantastic what you can do. The two main things I use in my house are my air fryer, because I don't like to use excess oils, and also my pressure cooker. And it's just so quick and easy, and I can still have a life and not be slaving over the stovetop. There's also other ways, of course. If you're going to saute and things like that, I recommend, avoiding oils in most cases. I only use oil for like one dish and when I'm baking, because I have these awesome Pullman tins, and if you don't spray the outside, that loaf is not coming out, okay? So I only use it sparingly, but if you can avoid it during your normal everyday cooking, it's okay, your body can handle it. But too much oil and even cooking it, even the good oils, you can actually cause a bit of inflammation, okay? Let alone, some of the trans issues as well. So try those over some of your other methods like your deep frying, your barbecuing and those kind of things. They have a whole bunch of side effects and amines and different hydrocarbons that are actually produced in those kind of unhealthier methods, and they're really bad for your health, not just physically but also mentally, okay? So do try and look at those other healthier options. Does anyone here have a pressure cooker by any chance? Aren't they amazing? Life-changing, hey? It's my favourite thing, and it's something that you can never burn or ruin a dish with. I love it. Okay, try eating at home more and eating out less, although these days there are some good options that you can get now for takeaway, but obviously you always know it's better when you know what you've put into it and where that produce has come from. And then try having alternatives when it comes to other beverage options, okay? So if you like fizzy things, if you like bubbly things, if you like sweet things, there's ways you can get around that. I don't know if anyone has ever tried using soda water or mineral water with a little bit of stevia drops. So that actually is a really healthy, nice way to not spike insulin, and you can still feel like you're having a little something. And if you're into doing like water kefir, that's a great way, as long as you make sure you've got the sugar out of it. There's a lot of other options out there, but of course, remember, you still need to drink your water amount each day. Don't forget to read labels, because there's a lot of different things out there that you might not want to consume if you knew what was in it. I usually like to say, if you need to read a book with all of those different ingredients, it's probably not the best first choice to go for. And also, if you're seeing numbers in there and you're not a mathematician, probably stay away. Yeah. Now, how can we minimise eating some of those refined grains and swap them out for, some more of those whole grains? If you have, a rice cooker or a pressure cooker or anything like that, you can just cook those whole grains in your rice cooker, and you can start trying grains that maybe you're not used to. And instead of having plain old, rolled oats, Try having cooked quinoa or cooked buckwheat or different things. You can even buy rolled rices and quinoas and things like that, just to swap it up. It's good to have a variety of different grains. Try not to stick to the same one all the time. The other thing is too, if you don't want to have many of the refined flours and breads and things like that, try using the legume alternative. So you're cutting down massively on the carbohydrates, which of course is going to reduce insulin spiking during that meal, but you're also getting high protein. You're getting foods that are filling. So I love things like making, and I think I've just mastered doing like gluten-free breads with legume flours. So everything from red lentil flour to black lentil flour to chickpea flour, besan flour. It's amazing what you can make with legumes. And it's just like 2 ingredients, water and legumes, maybe a bit of salt if you're into that. And you can just do everything from flatbreads to even pita breads. It's amazing what you can do. So there are a lot of different ways that you can do that. Another thing that you can do is have legume pastas. There's a couple out there on the market. Pulse pasta is one of them. I'd recommend going for the penne and not the spaghetti. Trust me, you'll thank me later. But yeah, it's actually really high protein pasta. Makes you feel fuller for longer, and it doesn't have that spike with the insulin. So we know that we need to reduce our sugar intake as well. We know that that causes so many issues, and it's not just diabetes. People think, oh, only diabetics need to watch their sugar. But actually what they found is that every one of us needs to watch our sugar because it's linked to glycation and Alzheimer's disease. So you don't even have to be a diabetic. But if you continually have high postprandial glucose spikes after every meal, which happens from refined things and sugars, then you're actually going to be aging very quickly. So if you want to keep the natural Botox look and keep the beautiful skin, stay away from too much sugar. Have it as a treat. It's not going to kill you, but don't do it every day because it's what you do every day that counts. So here are some hacks for a little bit of healthier eating. First of all, try and look for recipes that you can make once that actually make multiple different dishes. Okay, we all don't want to eat the same food all day, every day for a whole week. Boring. But what we do want to do is have nutritionally dense food, only cook it once, but have it in 3 different ways where it feels like I'm eating different food, right? So for instance, I'm going to be showing you a couple of dishes today. One is a spinach rice bake or a slice, and I make that into the slice. I also make it into sushi bites or sushi donuts. I make it into rice arancini balls. That's like 4 different ways, but I've cooked it once. So I might triple my recipe. One will be a bake, one will be arancinis, one will be this. And you break that up throughout the week. It looks appetizing, it tastes awesome, but you've only cooked once. And that's very appealing, isn't it? Also, the savoury lentils that we'll make today, make savoury lentils, which are amazing just on toast or in wraps or however you like to eat them. It's fantastic as a base for a shepherd's pie. Put a bit of mashed potato on top. Or you can actually just blend up those savoury lentils and make yourself a gravy. And it's the tastiest, thickest gravy you could ever have. Whole food, high protein, low carb. It's incredible. Also, bliss balls, you can make them into slices, make them into balls. You can make them into the base of a sweet pie or a dish, okay? I like to do little mini things, so I'll use like either mini muffin molds or normal size muffin molds, and I'll do little bases with my bliss ball recipe, and then I'll put in some kefir cream cheese, and I'm having little cheesecakes. So there's like amazing things that you can do. Super healthy, no sugar, your body will love you for it. And then, of course, this afternoon, if you stay, you will learn how to make some kefir dips from kefir curds, some cheeses, and also frozen yogurts. And I even make quiches from kefir. So it's pretty awesome. Now, you can also make foods that can be frozen. That's one of my best things to recommend today. If you can freeze stuff and freeze it in portion sizes, that's the trick. You can just grab and defrost the night before, and it just saves you so much time and effort, no stress. Always have something sweet and savoury and salty on hand that's already pre-made, easy to grab and eat for when you're getting those cravings, because otherwise, you'll reach for the packeted chips or you'll reach for the sugary, substitute. So think of those kind of things. It really does make a difference in you getting those wins every day. Now, do try and choose some time each week to cook. And as I said, you don't need long if you can use a few one-pot wonder kind of recipes. The only thing you should really have to do most days is, doing your fresh stuff, your salad prep. Even your dressings you can actually pre-freeze in little portions, and I like to do that because if I'm making a dressing, I don't want to do it every day or twice a day. So just do it once and freeze them all, label them well, and you'll be fine. So how do we satisfy some of those cravings when we're wanting something salty or something sweet? What can we actually do instead of? Okay, so if you're craving something cheesy, my favourite thing to do is to cut my potato that I've already turned into a prebiotic and just put it in the air fryer, put a bit of tomato sauce on, as many veggies as I can pack on top, and a little bit of plant cheese if you want, or the kefir cheese that I'll tell you about later, and then you just put that in the air fryer. And 5 minutes later, you've got little mini pizza bites that are actually going to make you feel full. They're actually full of veggies and super low everything, okay, because we've reduced that glucose response. But you can use little pita breads as well. What if you want something creamy and nutty? Now, can I ask, has anybody got the Ninja Creamy? Does anybody have that? Oh, I won't advertise for them, but let me just say it will change your life. So I always have my favourite sugar-free, nice cream kind of recipes in my Ninja Creamy, and I just get it out and I just press a button and then I can just make, a cup's worth of dessert at a time. And so super handy, and then you just put the whole tub back in the fridge. Anyway, you don't have to do it that way. I'm going to show you some quick, cheap ways you don't need a Ninja Creamy that are also going to change your life, and it's a 2-second job. If you want something creamy and nutty, fruit with nut butter is amazing. Okay, any kind of nut butter, just make sure it doesn't have sugar in it, and any kind of fruit. Apples, kiwi fruits, anything that you can put a slather of something on, that's a wonderful, creamy, sweet kind of dessert option. What if you want something sweet? You can go for some of these bliss balls or some of these more concentrated kind of sweet natural whole food products. There's also a dish I'm going to do for you today called strawberry fluff. It doesn't sound awesome, but it is like fluffy, moussey, light heaven in a dish. So it's a 2-second job, and it's just high protein, super low calorie, and 3 ingredients. You're going to love it. What if you want the sweet and creamy? Go for the Ninja Creamy, go for the nice creams, go for anything that is a whole food plant-based option. It's definitely going to be better, and no sugar. Okay, avoid the sugars or have sugars that are very low in the GI. What if you want something salty? Go for your popcorn, or even just go for your celeries and things like that that are naturally higher in sodium. They're great. Or you could even have some of those vegetable kind of sticks with some French onion dip. Okay, some kefir French onion dip, a healthy one. Okay, so it has now come time for us to actually make some of these goodies that you're about to try. So what we're going to start with, now you've all got your little recipes there. I've given you a whole bunch of bonus recipes, so you're welcome. We will not be demonstrating them all today because we would be here all day. So please try some of these. These are ones that if you follow the recipe, you're just going to love it. So let's make some of them. We're going to start off with our spinach rice bake. And in order to do that, as I was saying before, I usually like to use my pressure cooker for all my grains and legumes. It's just so quick, and you can't burn anything. It's just perfect. So what we're going to do here, and we're just going to wait, we've got an overhead camera going to show you. Here we go, look at that. So it's a very, very simple, easy recipe, and there's only, 6 ingredients, and it's one of these ones where it'll take you 3-4 minutes to get it from the cupboard, pop it in, and then turn it on. That's my kind of cooking style, quick and easy. Okay, so what we've done so far is we've just sautéed some onions and garlic, and you can do this without oil if you want. There is oil on there because if you're not used to not cooking without it, that's fine. It's fine either way, okay? So we've sautéed some onions and garlic, and then you just put all of the rest in. So what we're going to put in is our arborio rice. So you can use any rice, but if you want this dish to actually stick and be able to be rolled into balls, or even once you've put it in your pan, if you want that to be able to be sliced and it will come out whole and stuck together, you'll want to use the arborio rice, okay? Now, I have done this with other grains, and I've even used buckwheat. Buckwheat does help it to stick a bit, but you kind of have to mix it with another grain. So that's just a heads up. If you want it to stick, if you don't want it to stick, you can use any grain at all. It doesn't matter. But this is rice because everybody knows rice and it's nice and easy. And if you can get yourself a good Australian rice that's organic and doesn't have any arsenic. The one issue that can happen with rice is arsenic, okay? So make sure that you're getting it from Australia. Okay, so I literally just put my rice in there, and then I just add all my other ingredients. So I'm going to put in my 2.5 cups of water. If you're not using a pressure cooker, you do just need a little bit more water, probably another cup, because the pressure cooker cooks itself with its own steam, so you don't need as much liquid. But yeah, if you're going to do it on the stovetop or even in a rice cooker, add that little bit extra water just because it will need it, okay? So then I'm going to use some Micelle chicken stock, okay? So no animal was harmed in the making of this. It's literally yeast flakes and some herbs, okay? So it's pretty good. We're going to pop that in there. And you can do this one to taste. If you don't like much salty, savoury flavour, just add half of what that amount is. Okay, and then the other thing that you're going to do is put in your actual veggies or greens. So you can use any veggies. I'm going to use spinach because most people don't mind spinach. It doesn't have much flavour, so it's fine. But I love using kale. I love using Swiss chard, anything that I'm growing from my garden at the time. I'll actually put that in there, and I'll even put veggies in there. I'll put some capsicum. I'll put any other thing that I happen to have on hand. So this is really just a base recipe. Feel free to add to it, okay? And be creative, okay? Because you can really make some pretty amazing dishes. And in fact, do you know that if you want to do a sweet version of this, you put the same amount of fruit in that the spinach was, and instead of the micelle, you actually put a sweetener, okay? And you just cut out the onion and the garlic. So you can do a sweet rice bake or sweet rice balls. So there's so many different ways that you can, play with this and make it your own. All right, so then that's it. We're just going to put that into the pressure cooker, turn it on. I usually cook it for like 20 minutes. That's all you'll need. And that's it. 2-second job. Nice and easy? Yeah. And wait till you try it. So the way, once that's cooked, I usually do it is I just get a baking pan, press it all in, and then let it cool. Just leave it to cool. And then when it's cool, you can slice it up. It'll come out in slices. It's beautiful cold. It's beautiful reheated. Kids love it. I've never met anyone who hates it. So if you hate it today, just don't tell me because you'll hurt me. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, but look, it's very flexible and there's a lot of things that you can do with that, okay? Now I want to show you another easy recipe that actually is another one-pot wonder. And this is the one that I was saying. So with the rice bake, like I said, you can make it like a bake or a slice. You can just get the ingredients once it's cool, and you can roll it into balls and just bake it or air fry it and just have them into little balls. Or you can actually put them in donut molds. You know how you can get those from Kmart and those kind of places? So you put it in there and just let it sit, and then when you demold it, you can put, your mayo over the top or your little carrot bits and, make it sushi-like. So there's a lot of fun things you can do with it. This is the other one that you can have as just savoury lentils, which are wonderful on toast or in a wrap. You can actually do it like a quesadilla in a wrap, with a bit of like plant-based cheese. It's wonderful just to blend all of this once it's cooked, and it makes the best thick, yummy, savoury, really, really rich gravy. And then, of course, you can do shepherd's pies. Mini ones, large ones. We're doing a big large one for you today, but I often use the little mini muffin tin tray molds, and I'll make mini ones. So you put the filling in first, and then once it's just a little bit solidified, you put your mashed potato on top, and it's so fun and good for the kids, the grandkids, aunties, uncles, like the nieces and nephews. It's great for them. Okay, so this is how easy it is. You start off with your lentils, and you can use any lentil. But this recipe is more for your harder lentils that take a long time to cook. So your brown lentils, or sometimes they're called green. So believe it or not, this is called a green lentil, but it doesn't look very green, okay? But it doesn't really matter. You can make this exact same dish with your red lentils. You can do it with your, the green split peas. They take a long time to cook, right? but it'll work perfectly with this recipe. So any kind of legume you want, you can actually swap it out, but it tastes nice with this one. That's just my favourite preference, but I do it with the red lentils quite a lot as well. Okay, so you pop your lentils in. Now you can rinse them and strain them and all that kind of stuff beforehand, but you don't have to if it's all clean and there's nothing else in there. And then you're going to add in your flavours. So we have bay leaves. Bay leaves are incredible. I have a bay leaf at home, a bay leaf tree, and I use it in every dish that I want savoury. Okay, if you miss this step in this recipe, it actually tastes like a different dish. It's not as good. So put your bay leaves in. You can't overdose on them. It says here to put 6, but I often, because I've got a tree and that's unlimited, I'll put like 20 because you can't have enough. It's just, I love that really deep umami flavour. A little bit more of that chicken macel stock. So that's your yeast flakes and your herbs. I'm going to add in some other flavours. So I've got onion. It's called dried onion flakes. But they're like little pieces, okay? So we're going to add that in. That does make a massive difference, so you don't want to miss that out either. I've got a little bit of garlic powder. Now use the garlic powder and not the garlic salt, or the dish will be too salty, okay? And then I've got your beautiful Italian herbs. And these flavours together actually make any lentil, any legume. I've even done this with grains. So I've done a grain instead of the legume, and it just makes it so beautiful. It's like nothing you've ever had before. So I absolutely love it. I always joke around and say, I think that this was the dish that Esau guy sold his birthright for, because it's that good, I promise you. Okay, then we just add our water. So again, I've got some recipes there if you're doing it on the stove top or if you're doing it in the pressure cooker, because you don't need as much. And then that's it. You just have to pressure cook it. For the legumes, I usually go 35 minutes, and that will ensure that it's fully cooked through. You can't eat a half raw lentil. Now, when we're talking about lentils, if there are any of us here in the room that struggle with a little bit of gas or bloating after eating a lentil or a legume of any type, there's a few little hints and tips that can help you with that. First, if you can sprout it, it cuts down on half of that silica reaction, okay? So you get a little sprout, it's very easy, and then you cook them, that will cut down on it. The other thing that they've found with research is if you have like half a cup of legumes a day, every day, and you push yourself for a whole month, your body will get used to it, the enzymes will start working and breaking it down, and you just won't have an issue. That's why people who have grown up in cultures where legumes are part of it, they never have the bloat or any gas or anything like that, and that's why. So it's actually a wonderful way to start eating it and including it into your diet and lifestyle. So with the savoury lentils, what I usually do is I'll make a double, triple batch. One lot I'll do, just put it in a container, and I'll literally just warm that up and put it on my toast and things like that for breakfast. Or I will have it as the shepherd's pie with the mashed potato on top, or I will blend some up. And so I'll make the one dish, but I've got 3 different dishes sitting in my fridge. And that gravy on top of those prebiotic potatoes, amazing. You've got to try it, okay? All right, now let's move along. What we're going to do here now is the chickpea sandwich filling, okay? So this one here is very easy. You can use any kind of legume. It is nice with the chickpea, but if you don't like chickpeas, not a problem. Try a white bean instead. The white beans are delicious. Lima beans, butter beans, they don't have much flavour either, but you're getting heaps of protein, and it's just wonderful to start including some of these into your diet. So there's different ways you can do this. Just going to try and move this over so everybody can see the camera. You can just get your old potato masher out and start beating away in a bowl, okay? And that'll work. Or if you're lazy, or should I say if you're so busy, you should actually start using one of these if you have one, okay? These do actually make life so much quicker and easier, but if you don't, you can just mash it with a potato masher. So you can use any kind of tinned chickpea, lentil, whatever, if that makes it easier. I actually would rather you eat tinned lentils if you don't have the time or effort to make it yourself, okay? If you do have the time to make it yourself, give them a little sprout until they just get the little tail out, and then you can just freeze them in their sprouted raw form in little bags, a cup's worth. And then whenever you have a dish that calls for a lentil or a legume, you can just pull that out and just cook it. just like that. And it's, so you've already set yourself up for, helping with any of those kind of reactions. So you put your legume of choice into your food processor or just into a big old bowl. You put in your flavours. So I've got some garlic powder and also some chicken masala stock. Okay, now instead of the stock too, you can just use yeast flakes that you have at home and just put a few other herbs in and a little bit of like Celtic salt or something like that. This is not in the recipe. I like to add a little bit of lemon to it because I like that tang, but if you don't have to. The recipe does not have the tang, but I'm going to put a little bit of lemon juice in there because I just feel that everything's better with lemon, I don't know. And then I do have a little bit of vegan mayo, but what you can use as well, when I show you this afternoon how to do the kefir dip, this French onion dip, you can actually just put that in, and that really amps up to the next level, and you've gone from making this into like a beautiful dish to start with into now a probiotic dish. Okay, so extra added points to you if you do that. Okay, so all we have to do is blitz, so excuse the noise. Or not blitz? That is the question. Oh, this is not on, that's why. Yeah, otherwise you can just mash it. I think it's actually upside down, that's the problem. There we go. This is the fun part once it's already in, right? Clear some space. And this is just a lovely recipe to put on top of toast, to put it in sandwiches, to actually put it, can I just get a little cleanie? To put it even like as a dip. You can use it as a thick dip, or you can thin it out a little bit by using a little bit of extra lemon juice or water. Oh, thanks, Tara. Amazing. And yeah, it's just a really high protein, very filling kind of sandwich ingredient that's actually going to help you with your cholesterol. It's going to help you with satiety. It's going to help your little colon out. So they've found that legumes, if you can have that, half a cup to a cup of legumes a day, not only do you live longer, but it actually prevents you from a lot of bowel issues. And how many people these days have your IBSs and your Crohn's and your diverticulitis and everything else that comes along with having poor gut health? It's actually a wonderful way to prevent. So it's really something that you're worth trying to include into your diet. I don't even mind if I have something, so I usually make this up and just put it in a container, keep it in my fridge. I even get a few blobs of it and we'll put it on my pizza because it just tastes really nice and savoury. So, extra legumes, can't go wrong. Okay, let's try this again. Take 2. And yeah, if you want to forego the actual mayo as well, you can. It's not a problem. You can just use a little bit of yogurt if you want to. And you can also make it to the consistency that you like. So I don't mind it like slightly chunky, a little bit, smooth, a bit of both is nice, but whatever you like. You can go fully smooth or even keep it really chunky, up to you. So that's pretty much it. That will store in your fridge in an airtight container for 5 to 6 days. So nice and easy. And like I said, it's just wonderful as a dip. Use your carrot sticks and celery sticks and things like that. Whatever way you like to eat it, there's many different options. So that's a nice easy one. And like I said, do try it with other different legumes. The white butter beans are really nice to swap out as well for that one. Okay, so let's move along now. What we're going to look at is this one, which is a recipe that I'm going to give you right now. So if you've got a pen or if you've got a phone that has notes, go ahead and write it down. This is not in your handout. I thought I'd just give you a bonus because it's just, a lot of people come to me with cholesterol issues and they ask, what foods can I eat that will reduce cholesterol, okay? So I've got a few main ones that I always recommend. So flaxseed meal, 3 tablespoons of flaxseed meal every day will reduce your cholesterol in 3 months, okay? It works like better than a statin. But then you do have to watch what food's coming in because it's the food that comes in that causes it in the first place. So I'm going to just show you one way that you can do it, another sandwich filling that's super, super easy to do, okay? So I'm going to make a cholesterol-lowering, egg-substituted sandwich filling. Okay, so think of like egg and lettuce, and that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to use tofu, because tofu is something that most people don't know how to use, or it's very bland, so they're like, oh, I'm not going to try it because I don't know how to flavour it. And I don't know what happens with this. Does someone want to come and do something? I think there's a trick to this one as well. But do you know that soy beans, especially if you're eating them in the whole form, like edamames or in a soya milk or in a block of tofu, they actually reduce cholesterol. They're one of your best. All legumes will help to reduce cholesterol, but soybeans are super powerful at doing that. And they can be very versatile because you can use a lot of different techniques to make it tasty and to eat it. So I make like scrambled tofu. That's a really quick, easy way. I'll use the medium firm tofu, and I'll literally like cut it into egg shapes and like make eggs out of it with a bit of black salt, and it literally tastes like an egg. Do you guys know about black salt? Anyone ever used it? Okay, so what it is, it's actually just a salt that has very high sulfur. Okay, so I'll send this around, but I don't know if you're going to share anything with me, so I'll keep it here. But you're going to taste this because we're going to have these little egg sandwiches for you to try, and it tastes like egg. It just gives it flavour. It's just like, it's Himalayan black salt, so we know it's a good, better salt, but it's just something fun to play with, and so I like to use it. We're going to use some in this recipe. So this recipe is really just some firm tofu. It can't be the wobbly, sloppy stuff. It needs to be pretty firm. And I just add that in, and then we're just going to blitz it until it comes to a crumble, because, I mean, you could do it if you've got strong fingers, but look, I'm an ex-masseuse and those days are gone, really. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of colour in there. Not that you need it for the colour, but think about your anti-inflammatory properties, your immune-stimulating properties. Adding a little bit of turmeric will not only make it look pretty, but it's also going to make it extra healthy. Okay, so we're just going to add a little bit of that. And so I should probably give you some rough eyeball estimates. One block of tofu, about 450 grams, so something like that. And then about 1/2 to 3/4 of a teaspoon of turmeric. If you like turmeric, go a teaspoon, because you know turmeric can have like a little bit of a flavour. So if you can't handle it, start on the lighter side. And then you can use a bit of yogurt, or you can use a bit of mayo, or you can use some of the kefir French onion dip, which you'll learn later. Okay, so today I'm just going to use a bit of the mayo. And with the mayo, you just do enough. So for this amount, you're looking at probably like 3 to 4 tablespoons, just depends. Or if you like it more runny, add a little bit more. If you like it more firm, add a little bit less. And it's just to taste, okay? So just get a nice plant-based one, because we're trying to reduce cholesterol, so keep with the plant-based options, all right? Okay, let's see if this is going to be happy and work with me. Where's my experts? Thank you. Now, you can, as I said, crumble it with your hands. If you don't have a food processor, not a problem, okay? Especially if the food processor doesn't like you. You don't have to contend with him. I think we might go at the back and mash it. Let's do that. And what you do, so we add that, but there's no salt or flavour, right? Really. Tofu doesn't have any flavour. The yogurt will give it a little bit of flavour, but not much. So what you do, once you've made that, you spread that onto your sandwich or onto your wrap or however you're going to eat it, and then you just use your little shaker on the fine shaker hole, and you just sprinkle this on just before you eat it, and you'll say to me, Candice, I can't believe it. I can't believe it's not egg. I can't. And anyway, but you're not getting any cholesterol, you're not getting any hormones, you're not getting any issues, and it's going to help you out. So you'll get to try that later, my friends. And that's just a bonus recipe if you want to try it. It's definitely worth a try, because you'll be quite surprised how nice you can make things that might seem initially bland, but you got to think of the health benefits too, because they far outweigh, and like that's not hard, that's very easy, right? You can make your own tofu and stuff like that. I do that, but like, who has time for that, okay? Now what we're going to do next is a super, super easy, simple salad that will give you all of the calcium needs that you need for your body in one meal. How does that sound? Do you know that it's really hard to get enough calcium in a low-calorie format unless you're having rocket? Did you know that? So all your greens are high in calcium. In fact, the animals on the planet that have the highest bone density eat greens, and that's all they eat. So think of your elephants, okay? They're not going to the gym and working on bone density, right? Pushing weights. I've never seen one, although the mums have to push those babies and they weigh like a ton, so I guess. But really, all they're doing is they're eating greens, and they've got all the protein they need. They've got all the calcium they need. They've literally got everything they need for health. And so we need to start eating more greens too, because we don't really eat enough, and these should be, on every plate, really. Eat it any way you can. So we're going to do a beautiful rocket salad that has sweet potatoes. So remember, we're using that beautiful sweet potato that helps very high in vitamin A, preventing diseases. The rocket is amazing because not only does it have the protein, but it's one of your highest forms of calcium to eat just in a salad format. Your other high calciums are, your sesame seeds and your tahinis and things like that. But if you're trying to watch your calories and you still need to get your 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams of calcium a day, you need to go more the greens, okay? Because otherwise you're going to really blow out the calorie deficit, all right? The calorie amounts. So all I've got here, I'm making a big one for all of us today. Although if I had enough time, I would eat that myself. Thank you. So this is what it looks like, okay? And if you add a little bit more turmeric, it becomes more yellow. But you just have to spread that on your sandwich and then put some lettuce on, however you like to eat your egg and lettuce sandwiches. And there you go. It's so easy. And the flavour really just comes from you putting that little salt on just before you eat it. So I hope that you'll enjoy that today. All right, so for this one, you can see with the ingredients, it's not much to it, but it's actually a wonderful health salad. You can add other extras in there too. Add your reds, add your capsicums, whatever. But this is just a really, really nice simple one because all you have to do is have some cooked sweet potato. Keep the skin on, okay? Because it's neither here nor there. You can't notice much difference if it is on or off. And of course, you get a lot of the nutrients straight underneath the skin for that one. And then we're just gonna add that on top. Now, you're not gonna eat this much, but it's a wonderful way to eat sweet potato besides just mashing it, or having it in a soup or a stew. So we're just going to add that in there, okay? And then we're also going to add in some nuts. Now you can use any kind of nuts or seeds. You can use both. It doesn't really matter. And then we're going to use walnuts today, okay? Just because we have them on hand. But you can use your almonds, you can use pistachios, whatever you like. And then it's pretty, there's no, obviously, dressing on it already, but I've given you a recipe for a garlic lemon tahini dressing that really pairs well with this one. So I'd recommend that you use that, and that's what we'll actually be having this with today, okay? So I've already pre-made some, and when you leave it in the fridge, it's kind of like a medium consistency. It's not super thick and it's not super runny, but it's quite nice. And this is one that I always have on hand in little portions frozen. And then that way I just bring it out when I need it, okay? So we're going to put that on there just before we eat it. And so you'll get to try those two recipes in the one. And in that, so when we add all of those elements of food together, you've got all those immune boosting properties from the greens, the garlic, and also from the rocket and the sweet potato. So it's really like a complete whole food salad, but tasty as well. All right?
And so, can I just ask you the volume of that?
Yeah. That's a four batches, yeah. So, I mean, usually you'll just make one or two, but you could do that many and then just divvy it up. Because with this dressing, I just put it in a blender or a NutriBullet, and that's really the best way. And if you don't like garlic and things like that, don't put it in, that's fine. But if you like it, it's obviously really good for your immunity. Or if you want to keep someone away from harassing you, just have some of that. That'll keep them at bay. Oh, I forgot to put the onion on top because, so the onion and the garlic on top of that salad not only make it, a whole food, high calcium rich, immune boosting salad, but we've got the prebiotics there as well, okay? So we'll add that on just before we eat it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do a little sweetie. This is the Choc Mint Bliss Ball, and you can make this one and freeze it and have it on hand for months. I literally have some in there that's like 6 months old, but it's frozen and it's all good. Yes, and I'll need another one too. Thank you, my sweet. Thank you. Why is it opposite? It's so hard. Okay. So what we're going to do now is this little choc mint bliss ball. Now, I've also given you a lemon coconut bliss ball and an apricot bliss ball recipe. So go home and try them out. They're really nice. And if you make all three and just keep them on hand in snap lock bags, you'll be set for ages, okay? But today we'll just demonstrate this one. So this one, we're using some cashews. If you don't like cashews, change it up for any other nut. It doesn't matter. The only reason cashews work so well is because they're quite malleable and soft, so they really hold things together and squish things together quite well. So we're just going to pop that in. Again, this is one of the recipes that if you do have a food processor, it's going to make your life easier. Otherwise, you can try and do it in a NutriBullet and just, do bits at a time. And we're going to use some dates. Now, medjool dates are wonderful, but if you can't get them, and plus they're quite pricey, just go for your normal pita dates. It's fine. It tastes amazing, and that's what you'll be eating today. So if you like the flavour of it today, that's all we've used. And then you want to put in some other flavours. So to make it chocky, we're putting in a high calcium, high iron carob powder, okay, no caffeine. And then we're also using some chia seeds, and you can use any colour, doesn't really matter. But the chia seeds help it to bind a little bit together, and plus extra added nutrition too. So we're going to pop that in there. Now, some people say, what about dates? How do they affect your blood glucose response? Yes, they do have a bit of a spike, but because they're full of fibre, they actually end up balancing out very quickly, and they're quite low GI in the sense that you'll get an initial spike, but then it comes down very quickly and then it just maintains. So it is one of the healthier whole food sugar options, sugar substitutes that you could use. But if you don't want to use dates, and remember, this is a treat. You're not going to eat all of this every day. You'll probably have one ball like every few days, or you can even have one every day. That's fine. But this is something that you're not going to live off. It's a little treaty, right? One of these balls at the end of a meal will stop you reaching for things in a couple of hours. So it's good to actually give yourself a little dessert. Psychologically, it actually helps you not to go overboard later on. So I do recommend always having something sweet at the end of the meal, but have just a mouthful or two. Portions do make a difference. But you can have some really nice stuff. Now, we're going to add some vanilla extract, but I think on here, does it say essence? That's a typo. It has to be extract unless you like secretions from beavers, because that's where essence of vanilla comes from. I'm not really a beaver secretion kind of girl, so I'm going to go for the real one that comes from the bean. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of that in. Guesstimate. And then we're going to put in some flavour. Now, who here likes orange chocolate stuff? You know those orange chocolate? Okay. A little bit of orange essential oil or the zest of an orange, you can pop in there. If you like lemony things, lemon chocolate, you can do that. Or you can do peppermint. Okay, we're going to do a peppermint one. You can either use a peppermint essence that doesn't come from a beaver, or, because they just don't, or you can use a couple of drops of essential oil. So there's some good essential oils. You only need 5 drops. 1, 2, 3, that'll be about it. And you'll believe that these few drops actually make it so strong and beautiful, okay? So there's some really nice blends in Young Living. They have, you can use your orange essential oils. These are edible, internally used, and even doTERRA. So yeah, you can have essential oils internally, just in small doses, and it needs to be the right ones. Okay, and then the last thing is some maple syrup. So maple syrup is definitely higher on the GI scale than dates and other sugar sweeteners like coconut sugar and stevia and things like that. And if you really want to stay away from having any kind of insulin spike, then go for things like stevia. The whole stevia should look green, okay, green powder, or stevia drops, or you can even go for allulose. So allulose will not spike insulin. There's no reported issues. If you've already got erythritol on hand, you can use that, monk fruit, those kind of things, they're fine. But for this dish, like I said, you can still have it even if you, have diabetes and stuff like that, but you just want to have like one ball every few days, okay? Now, with the maple syrup, you don't have to add much. It's really just to help bind and stick. That's the only thing. If you use the medjool dates, you don't need the maple syrup because it's more sticky and pliable. But sometimes you can get away without using it. So we're going to try first not using any. And then if we need some, we'll just add some. Okay, so we'll have to keep going. So you want to keep blending until it really becomes quite fine. And the best way to know is to just grab some in your fingers and squish it together. But if it doesn't stick, keep grinding. And then if it still doesn't stick, just add a little bit of the maple syrup to help bind it. Okay, so I'll add a little bit of this. And another thing you can do too, you can use a little bit of rice malt syrup if you want, like anything that's sticky. You can use a bit of honey, something that's going to kind of just help it to bind. Okay, when it starts to ball, you know you've really done it properly. So that's perfect. So then you just have to either press it into the bottom of a pie dish, use it as a base for a beautiful sweet pie. You can actually roll it into balls and have it as a ball, or you can just push it into a pan and have it as a slice. And either way is good. If you freeze it or, and then cut it up, then you can actually then put it into snap lock bags and just have them sitting in the freezer door, and you're good to go anytime you need something. So nice and easy. Again, it's a pretty quick process, yeah? All right, so let's take these, and can we grab the frozen strawberries? All right, so the last one that we're going to do today is the strawberry fluff. Does that sound appetizing? Oh, I thought it did too. Okay, so we're going to do strawberry fluff because we're using strawberries, because strawberries are super low calorie. In fact, you could eat this whole thing, 35 calories. Like, hello, who doesn't want a dessert where you can eat as much as you want and not feel worried about your waistline? So what we're going to do, this is one that if you want it to be right, you do have to use a food processor. I have done it in the NutriBullet, but it doesn't come out as airy and fluffy because it's just the way the food processor works. It is pretty cool. If you don't have a food processor, it is a good investment because you can pick them up for like, I don't know, under $30 at Kmart, somewhere like that. And it's actually something that you'll use all the time because it's so versatile, especially for things that need to bind. And a lot of the whole foods, it's easy. You can chop things in it. It's quite versatile. I really like it. So what we're going to do with this one, now you can use any kind of berry because all berries are pretty low calorie, but strawberries are one of the lowest, but they also have flavour. Not all berries have flavour. I've done this with blueberry. It's like eating air. There's like nothing there, right? Raspberries are awesome, but with the raspberries you need a little bit of extra sweetener because they've got the tart. So this one, you literally need 3 ingredients, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my frozen berries in first. So my one at home is a lot bigger, so I hope that this works. We'll soon find out. Okay, and what I'm going to do is add a little bit of milk and then blitz. And then after we've got that all combined, we add the protein powder, okay? And what this is, it's a super high protein, super low calorie food that you can have for a dessert. You can have it as a meal. It's wonderful for a light meal. But you can eat that without any guilt or worry, but you're actually filling yourself up. You're getting that sweet fix, and it's really, really easy and super low calorie. So what I've got here is a beautiful plant-based pea protein. Okay, now you can add a bit of vanilla flavour in here if you want, or any kind of flavour that you like. But I'm just using like a plain pea protein, and that's going to add protein to it. But the protein combined with the frozen berry actually makes it turn into like a fluffy mousse. That's what we're making, okay? So I call it fluff because I can put it on a spoon and hang it upside down and it stays there. It's like, real mousse. So let's give this a try. Now, can somebody just tell me how much of the almond milk it is? 50 mils? I'm still going to guess anyway, aren't I? Let's just go with that and see how we go. All right. So we're going to make a bit of noise. And this is one that you will scrape down a little bit to start with. And you kind of have to blitz it enough so that the berries are not so frozen and hard. It's actually like a 5-minute job, but you usually just, once you've got it a little bit more macerated, you put the protein in and then you just turn it on and put your timer on for 5 minutes and that's it. Walk away, come back and you've got your fluff ready. So we won't do it all right here because of time, but I'll just get it started. Okay, so now you add your protein powder, turn it on for 5 minutes and just let it do its thing. And at first it's not going to look like it's going to mix. I promise you it looks like it always works out, but at first it just looks like nothing is ever going to combine, but it will. So this is just a 35-gram size of protein. You can put more if you want, but if you put too much then it does get like a bit more powdery. Okay, all right, so we might just keep blending that out the back there. I hope that that's just inspired you all just to try a few different recipes, start including a few goodies into your diet, and, you know, start by just adding stuff more so than taking things away. Okay, it's always easier.